Greetings and welcome to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel, and today I'm going to be doing a critique on somebody called David Meel, who's posted an article on academia called Advanced Mathematics for Secondary Teachers, a Capstone Experience. So without further ado, let's begin. So this guy here happens to be a faculty member of Bowling Green State University, and he's written it's more like a book really, Advanced Mathematics for Secondary Teachers, a Capstone Experience. And so he's got a description of the course, what is mathematics, he's got background, the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, or the unique factorization theorem, as it's more commonly known, abstract algebra and polynomials, etc., etc., and the usual mainstream garbage. So let's just make that bigger because my eyes are not that good. So let's see what he says here, because he intends this for high school teachers. But now he says, consider that in the 1960s, new math was in vogue with set theory taught at all levels of the curriculum. Well, guess what? In the 1960s, that's when math competency in the US started going south. In other words, Americans became less and less competent in mathematics, and they were overtaken in terms of skill levels. Okay, and then of course this pathetic, cancerous organization, NCTM, National Council of Teachers for Mathematics, came into the picture, and since then it's been a solid downward trend in the United States with the garbage of set theory, ZFC axioms, Dedekind cuts, etc., etc. So this idiot says that we follow a historical development of the real number system from Greek mathematics through to modern analysis and Dedekind cuts. Now, so we begin with a discussion of fractions and rational numbers and prove that many numbers are irrational. So far, we're seeing the typical mainstream drivel. The guy obviously doesn't understand what is the concept of number. So let's move ahead and let's see. So here's the first part that is really weird. It says mathematics is the science of patterns. This guy, by the way, has a PhD in mathematics. No, mathematics is not the science of patterns. It is the abstract science of measure and number. So, and of course, then the second erroneous statement is that the first obvious pattern is out of number. Actually, I've shown you over and over again that number can be derived in a valid systematic way, and it exists independently of the human mind as a well-formed concept or any other mind. It doesn't require you to even think about it. All right? So, of course, and then he takes a typical set theory approach, 3 people, 3 hats, 3 camels. Now, remember, in my latest publication, I showed you that you start off with a ratio and you work up to a natural number, which is just a special fraction. And then you abstract the unit so that you can say 3 people, 3 hats, and 3 camels. But they're all still based on the same foundation, which is geometric, and the measure and the operations come to us from geometry. Okay, so if we move along here, I'm going to focus on one of his statements where, okay, that's just abstract algebra there, and some theory of polynomials and theorems, and gosh, I really need to have my eye, I need a new set of eyes. And okay, so this is the first part that shows that the guy's a complete idiot. He says, let tilde, this tilde here, denote the equivalence relation on F given by A over B equivalent to C over D if and only if AD is equal to BC. Now, you can't do this in mathematics unless you have a support for it, which comes to you from geometry, by the way. You can't say AD is equal to BC unless you understand the geometry behind numbers, okay? So then he says, we define the operations of addition and multiplication. No, you don't define them. This method here, this method that you see that I've highlighted, comes to you from geometry. You cannot define it in any other way. Do you understand that? You cannot, for example, say the left side is equal to AB plus DC over BD or anything else. This is how it comes to you from geometry. And of course, this idiot has never understood the elements of Euclid or geometry or the operations. So he says, there's no guarantee that the definitions yield fractions in lowest terms. And so he carries on, with higher theory, which is based on what we get from geometry. So when you say A over B plus C over D, it comes to you from Book 5 and Proposition 12. And in fact, all the arithmetic operations, as I've shown you, come to you from Book 5. Now, nobody after Euclid and before me was able to write down the proper sequence of how we got these operations. But I did. I've done that for you in an article called Theory of Fractions. Okay, so Theory of Fractions for Dummies. Let's just see if it comes up. Yep, it does. Here it is. Okay, so this article of mine explains to you why in fact you do this sort of thing, and why in fact when you say 3 times 5 or 3 multiplied by 5 and let's say a half multiplied by 3/4, that you're doing exactly the same thing. It's not a different operation. The operation is the same. But of course, mainstream mathematics have never understood these arithmetic operations. They basically learn these things all rote fashion. Okay. And then, of course, he says, of course, when you learn to add fractions, you didn't think of it in terms of equivalent classes. And you don't need to, by the way, because it has nothing to do with equivalent classes or set theory or fields or any of that absolute garbage that you're taught in so-called higher math. Okay, so he says, so why go through this proof at all? And it says it's to show how to add rational functions. Well, look at the absolute moron. First of all, if you have an equal sign like that, what is an equation in very simple terms? It means that the expression on the left-hand side evaluates to the expression on the right-hand side, and both are numbers. Okay, that's all that an equation is. So if it works for basic numbers, it's going to work for a rational polynomial, because a rational polynomial is a number, and if it's not, then you're not dealing with mathematics anymore, are you? You're dealing with other theory that has nothing to do with the science of measure and number. Okay, so a lot of the stuff that you learn in abstract algebra is practically useless. There are certain things you can use, but the majority is a waste of time, and there's very little you can do with it. It's really just basically job security for these idiots, fools like this guy David Meel. Well, I hope that you've learned something from this video, and that you're very careful when you read articles written by so-called erudite. My mind's gone blank. I think I'm losing it. Erudite academics. Well, it's just, and of course that's kind of an oxymoron, because academics are supposed to be erudite. But that said, be careful what you read and what you believe, because a lot of it is garbage. So if you're not already a subscriber, become a subscriber to my channel. Tell your friends about it, and also contribute at my GoFundMe page. I do not get any income from my YouTube channel, and as you all know, times are difficult. So that's pretty much it for this presentation. My name is John Gabriel, and this is the